Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go?
Hey, Dino, this song rings a bell, and it's tailor-made for our discussion tonight.
Indeed, Anna. Good evening, Europe, and welcome to yet another Citizens Dialogue. Anna, it's nice to see you again.
Yeah, welcome back, Dino. Indeed. 1 year ago, we were sharing the stage together, and tonight, here we are, again. So tonight, we are going to discuss the dilemma that many of us already experience about our own place of origin. Should I stay or should I go? And I hope you were referring to this, Dino, because now you have no choice. You have to stay here on this stage with me.
I listen to you. There's no way I'd leave you alone with our audience present in the Square Convention Center and online. And don't forget, that's where you can follow the session in English, German, French, Italian, Spanish, or Portuguese. And that's also where our family and friends can follow us live. I hope you send them the link.
Of course, I can already imagine my parents and friends listening to us.
So what have we prepared for them? What's on the menu?
Well, tonight the menu is quite rich. We have with us 8 citizens from all around the EU. And they will share their stories with us. Have they decided to stay or to leave their place of origin? And was this a real choice? As you may know, early this year, the European Commission published a communication on harnessing talent in Europe's region. And many regions are or risk to fall into the so-called talent development trap.
Yeah, I heard something about that, but what does it mean concretely?
Well, there will be a more prominent speaker soon that will be better than me, for sure, but I can try. I would say it's a combination of multiple factors, the demographic decline, but also the aging of the working population, together with the lack of economic dynamism and the lack of innovation. All these factors lead young people, young talents to leave.
So these regions see people go, but also have a problem with attracting talent.
Exactly. That's the problem, and that's the talent development trap. And we are precisely discussing this tonight with our young citizens on stage. With 4 of them, in the first part of the dialogue, we'll discuss about the challenges of staying in our own place of origin. Then, with other 4 citizens, we will discuss about the challenges of leaving. And some of them will even bring some solutions. So they will share their stories with us and with our special guest. So let me welcome on the stage our European Commissioner for Cohesion and Reforms, Elisa Ferreira. Please, take a seat, in the middle, of course. Thank you.
Commissioner Ferreira, you are going to listen to 8 different stories, and you'll have the time to respond and maybe even ask a question.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we will start, I think, with the citizens that decided to remain in their country of origin. And if I'm not wrong, Dino, you are one of them. So tell us more about your ties to your country, Slovenia.
That's true. I stayed in my beautiful Slovenia, and I have to say, it all starts with the language. You know, Slovenian has duality, and if I wanted to say we, the 2 of us, Anna and Dino, I wouldn't say we. There's a special word that creates a special intimacy, but you would have to visit Slovenia so that you would better understand. Let's slowly heal my homesickness by not going too far from my homeland and start with the first story of tonight's Citizens Dialogue. It's the one of Marko from Croatia. Marko, welcome on the stage. You decided to stay as a professor in Varaždin to share your knowledge with your students and tackle the brain drain issue. But that's not the only reason you remained in Croatia. Looking at Varaždin from a distance, from Brussels, why did you stay home?
My name is Marko. I come from northern western part of Croatia. I'm biology and chemistry teacher at the high school. Croatia is the newest country in the European Union, and in accordance to that and existence of the common market, many young and educated people decide to leave. Only last year, 46,000 people left the country. And the result of that is that our population is older and older, so aging population. I decided to stay because I love my country. I'm a local patriot, and I do research on grasshoppers and crickets of Adriatic Island and mountains. On the weekend, I'm mentor of the workshop for Center of Excellence of Varaždinska County for Biology and Chemistry. Basically, that is a program that is based on ECHA and RITA for gifted students. We want to develop abilities and skills that younger people can solve problems, to think creatively, and to think divergent. By developing these skills, maybe we will be able to keep the talent in our country. And Croatia is a small country, but we have many talents.
Thank you very much, Marco. Moving on to Larisa Nicoleta from Romania. You've put things like lower wages and corruption aside and stayed at home. So why Romania? Why your central region?
So hello and greetings everybody. My name is Larisa and I am from Romania, which means that I was born in a country that is highly affected by brain drain. But still I decided to stay because I'm committed to my country, and also I highly want to be part of the change that Romanians hope for and rightfully deserve. So I decided to stay and make the most out of it. And that for me meant becoming a valedictorian, volunteering in international and national youth organizations, and also applying to as many Erasmus Plus programs that I could apply to. So then that led me to study in Croatia, England, and Italy. But it also meant moving from my hometown, which is Oradea, to study law and international relations in the capital of Romania, because I wanted to have access to the most relevant public institutions and also to the renowned professors. But I have to be honest, it wasn't, and it still isn't easy for me, because there are certain challenges that us, Romanians who choose to stay in Romania, have to face. And I'm talking about lower wages, as you rightfully mentioned, also the concerns about corruption, which always shade over our hopes and dreams, and also the fact that there are limited career opportunities for us. But hopes always find its ways to come back to us. So then, being International Affairs Vice President of the Romanian Youth Council, which is part of the European Youth Forum, now I can advocate for change, and I can also work with Romanians who studied abroad. So I can say that international experiences are highly enriching and are valuable, but it does feel different when you have to apply for them or choose them because you lack opportunities in your countries. So then I agree, we can still have the desire to learn and explore, but also it's useful to get something back to your country.
Thank you very much, Larisa, and best of luck with your studies. Jumping from Romania to Greece, Alexandros, welcome. Although your ties with the Peloponnese region are strong, what bothers you about it?
Thank you very much, Dino. Hello. I'm Alexandros. I come from Kalamata, a town in the southern Peloponnese, southern of Greece. After the completion of my studies in civil engineering 2020, I came against the obstacles of finding a job of my interests in my region, in the town I love. The problem is that after a decade of economic recession, the Hellenic state left in a position that has limited infrastructure and mechanisms for engineers and in general citizens to work and develop their skill set. Peloponnese, it's a region that attracts more and more visitors that are exploring and witnessing its beauty, taste its delicious food. But in terms of financial and social development, we're witnessing a stagnation. I want to ask the Commissioner if the cohesion policy can be implemented in a region so vastly affected by brain drain as Peloponnese, and if so, can all the country members of European Union reach and achieve the goals set by the European Union. For example, the climate neutrality goals set by 2030. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Commissioner will reply soon. We have to meet Claudio from Portugal now. The Azores, to be more precise, the status of an island, I'd say, comes with lots of benefits, but you have problems with funding research, for example. Tell me more about the challenges you are facing.
Hello, everyone. I'm from the Azores, and I'm a researcher in theoretical physics, namely in gravitation and cosmology. And I remained in the Azores because of my attachment to the region and because I wish to be part of the development of the archipelago. In fact, Azores are facing a trickle-down effect. Namely, the smallest islands are losing people towards the largest ones, and in turn, those are losing towards the mainland and abroad. So basically, the Azores are losing people and people with higher education. In particular, STEM areas such as physics, astronomy, engineering, or mathematics are not fashion in the region. So it urges to tackle this problem, this brain drain problem. One possibility is to implement and maintain a regular Azores Science Fair, so to promote the spark among the youngsters for STEM areas. Furthermore, Azores' status has islands, makes it difficult or more difficult to access extra funding for research and to provide the seeds for professional growth. Therefore, we need a synergetic approach among these outermost regions so to create a common funding scheme, let's say a network of researchers, so that all the regions can benefit from it. We can retain the most skilled people, and we can also attract people from abroad. Thank you very much.
Commissioner Ferreira, you've heard 4 stories. What thoughts do they leave you with? You may also reply to Alexandros, and if you have a question for our citizens.
Yes, first of all, I already did it in private, but I want to thank all of you for being here. I mean, here we are not kind of judging what is right and what is wrong. We are just trying to understand what makes you move or what can make you stay. And I think Anna did very well when she explained what we are worried about. But in fact, this is a phenomenon that is affecting a lot of regions across Europe, is this problem of having regions that really represent more than 1/3 of the population of Europe that are losing the energy so that they can really retain people, that they can really survive. So there are lots of regions in Europe, in all the member states, I would say, or almost all the member states, that progressively, not only they are a bit stagnant in their development, but at the same time, what could make them grow is missing. And this is the energy of young, qualified people. So what we are trying to understand, because I don't know how familiar you are with cohesion policy, but the purpose is in fact to rebalance growth, because it is very negative when these movements occur and nobody does anything about it. You end up with regions that become very, very old. Just old people are there, so they stop contributing positively to the overall wealth, because a lot of these regions, they can contribute they have a lot to offer. Lots of regions have wonderful biodiversity. Some of the regions have natural resources, or they have touristic capacities, or they have researchers and the conditions to develop some certain types of research, or they have heritage. And in fact, there is a potential to contribute to the overall welfare. But the fact is, if only old people are there, retired people, they become a source of cost because you just have to supply health services and supportive services. So this is bad for these regions, but also for the regions for which people sometimes move, big cities. Often they are congested, and young qualified people arrive there, and then the cost of living is so high, the cost of the apartments is so high that people really end up moving away because they don't have a good quality of life, even if they are qualified. So the cohesion policy is trying to rebalance this. But, and so often we talk about money, I mean, we need money. But money is at this moment exceptionally, because we have the Recovery and Resilience Plan and we have the cohesion policy that is basically directed towards that. There is enough money, I mean, there is a lot of money. What sometimes is missing is what we need to do in order to create conditions that will help you or your colleagues or young people like you, either to make an option to go to one of these regions and to start a business there, or to start, and you already mentioned that you really have ideas. So let's try to fit things together. It's not us in Brussels that decide where the money is used. We have a kind of a partnership. But it is important for us to tell member states, or to sometimes, I mean, start a conversation in which we ask, okay, so we know that there are these people and that they have ideas, or that other people can go back and do this kind of projects and start this kind of, you need some quality in the places where you live. You need to have internet, you need to have basic services. If you want to raise a family, you need schools. You need the access to flights if you want to get out, or trains, or roads. And you need to have jobs, and you need to have employment. So how can we create the mixture that helps to rebalance this growth? And this is the question. So I visited, and I can say that I know, but I visit all the countries that are represented here today. So I've seen, and when I visit countries, I go to the regions that have problems. And I try to speak with young people, because this is really what we are looking for, is what can we do to help you to find it good, profitable, and I mean, lessons were learned during the COVID, because some locations became positive. So I would like also to know from the other side, now that you'll be given the floor, I mean, what are the aspects that made you move in terms of not having the comfort to stay where you are? But it is quite legitimate that you move. But our hope is somehow that the people that are in congested areas probably will come back to the places that you left. And start a business there, or start a project there. So what is the ingredients for this? So I know, Dino, that probably anticipate the questions, but I'm really interested in finding out what are the needed conditions for this energy to be there where it is also needed. Okay, so thank you very much, and this new hairstyle fits you definitely, Dino.
Thank you very much.
It is when you know you have this system.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ferreira. We are moving on to the second part of the Citizens Dialogue. We're going to hear the stories of people who left, and if I'm not mistaken, Anna, you are one of them. What challenges did you face?
Yeah, indeed, Dino, you're right. I'm one of them. I left. I come from Italy, as you can hear from my accent, and I come from the region of Piemonte, north of Italy. And by the way, this is one of the regions in a talent development trap. So after many back and forth, then I left 2 years ago, and here I am in Brussels. And you asked me about the challenges, Dino. So many of them, there are many of them, but I would maybe mention just one, which is about choosing, basically, on the one side between my family, my friends, and my ties to my country, and on the other side, my objectives, my career, my aspiration. So it's not so simple, but now let's listen to more stories of young people who left. So we have with us Aline. You come from a rural area in Germany, Aline, and you left. So what challenges did you face to also reply to Commissioner question?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Anna. So, yes, it was my free decision. I come from the beautiful region of Baden-Württemberg, which I don't think is in a development or a brain drain trap at the moment. And I moved to Latvia and then did a little tour around the Baltic Sea, moved to Finland, and now I'm living in Sweden. And what I experienced actually, what I would want to talk about a lot is the mental load that it also put on those who stayed. So I want to connect also to my colleagues who stayed, because I think when I left, I underestimated how much it does to my family and friends. And then I moved to Latvia, and I worked with children whose parents had to move for economic reasons. And there I asked myself, what can be done? And I think what should be done is building communities, trying to, already at a very early age, bring people together. If you know there is a movement in your region that people move abroad already when they are very young, build clubs and bring them together so that they see, okay, I'm not the only one moving away, but I see my peers who are moving away and I see them coming back as well. So maybe I could come back as well. Or it's okay to stay away as well, as you said. But also for parents, for the children who are left behind, it's extremely important to have these communities. And I think also for those who moved away, it's extremely comforting knowing that your parents and your loved ones have a place to go to. So these communities for a more resilient society overall, that's something I think is currently a little bit missing sometimes in those places that are facing these brain drains.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Aline. And indeed, your words on the emotional strains really sound familiar to me, so thank you for sharing your story with us. And now we will be able to listen to Commissioner Ferreira's thoughts in a moment, and we move to Julia from Sweden.
So, hi everyone, my name is Julia and I am from Västernorrland region in the north of Sweden. And we have a long history of demographic challenges, and not the least because more people tend to move away than to move to, especially for young women, which creates an aging population and a shrinking workforce. I think one of the main reasons why young women choose to leave is the idea that other regions and universities offer a wider catalog of courses at universities and maybe more qualified job offers. And another essential factor that I see is the lack of connectivity and accessibility in the north, because if you've been, the north of Sweden is very big, and there's vast different distances to markets and communities and cities, and because of under-prioritized infrastructures, it's really hard to travel to other cities and communities around, as well as also to other EU member states, for example. So from my hometown, it takes me 4 hours to get to the closest international airport, to get here to Brussels, and it would take me 24 hours if I would have gone here by train, which I didn't. So I think that's one of the main reasons why maybe people don't choose to move to the north of Sweden, which is a problem because of the green transition. We need more skilled workers, unskilled workers, a growing workforce, and we do not only need to retain people, but also attract people. And however, my region is a part of the European Arctic regions, and it's also a sparsely populated area. And I think there's a lot of preconception on what life there entails. And I think it needs to be communicated from both a regional, a national, and an EU level on what life there really is, and yeah, to get people to come there and be part of the green transition. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. And also you indeed touched upon another key point that the Commissioner mentioned beforehand, which is infrastructure. They are key to retain and to attract young people and people in general. And yeah, when you mentioned that it took you 24 hours to be here in Brussels, wow, that's quite a journey. Now from Sweden, let's jump to Italy with Tommaso. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Anna. So it's Tommaso here, I'm 25, and I come from still northern Italy, but another region, which is the Veneto region, in particular the city of Padua. And I moved away when I was 18. I found the opportunity to move to study in the Champagne region of France, in Sciences Po. And one of the key factors that determined that I could actually move to another country and study and find my studies was that when I was looking for grants or scholarships to study abroad in valuable or universities that I consider to be valuable, France offered the opportunity through public funding to cover at least a portion of my tuition and give me a stipend to study abroad. This is through the cruise program that is given on an income basis that is not present, and it was definitely not a possibility for me to have in Italy, and it eventually was much more supported to move to France and continue studying there. So I think this is really important in terms of attracting talent to a nation, to provide such opportunities to people that can just fund their own studies. So that's essential. As I said, I come from the Veneto region, which I wouldn't define, and it's effectively not defined as a talent development trap. And it also has one of the oldest European universities. The University of Padua is 800 years old. And yet, despite being able to attract very significant talent from the world over, from Iran, from India, from other countries in Northern Europe, the city doesn't manage to retain the talent that comes and is attracted to the university for studying, but then doesn't find a fertile ground to keep working. There's not a sufficient supply of English jobs. There's a tendency to have quite a significant disconnect between the university and the job ecosystem, the working ecosystem. So that really makes it harder. And I would like to add another layer to it, which is the fact that I currently work for a London-based company from Paris. So I've seen the different jobs market. I've seen the different ways in which different countries treat young people when they enter the workforce. And what I've seen is that among my peers who stayed in Italy, I don't find the same enthusiasm and positive approach to young people entering the workforce. I don't see the same capacity to access a stable job immediately, which is not the case in France, which is even less frequent in the UK. So this is something that I think is essential for a young person who wants to establish a family, start a life and everything. And I think this is something we should probably aim to equalize or try to address through a cohesion policy.
Thank you very much, Tommaso, and thank you for sharing your experience. As you, I studied in France and I benefited from the cruise program, so I can perfectly relate. And also you outlined in one of your points the working conditions. And this is yet another key point that can attract and retain talents in this region, also in the regions that are not in a talent development trap situation. Now, we really discussed about the challenges, but maybe let's bring on the table some solutions. So from Italy, let's go to Spain. Irene, please.
Yes, thank you. And hello, everyone. I'm Irene. I'm from Extremadura. It's a western region in Spain, and it's one of the most affected by the talent development trap in Spain. I will share with you some data that I think might be useful. In Extremadura, 89% of the territory is rural, and almost 60% of the municipalities are under 1,000 inhabitants. And in 2020, Extremadura lost almost 2,000 young people. In my case, I also left as you when I was 18 years old because my studies were only offered in Madrid, and also because I wanted to, because it was some kind of teenager independence. Now I have been living in Madrid for more than 10 years. And I think it offers really great advantages, like, for example, the network of public transport. You don't need any car if you live in the center. And also the cultural offer. But it has also some disadvantages, like it's a big city, it's congested. And for example, a problem can be also the renting prices. And in my case, I think I decided to stay or to remain in Madrid mainly because of the ties and the social circle that I have nowadays there. I'm working now in the Spanish network for rural development. And so I think I have the feeling that I am somehow linked with Extremadura and with the rest of the rural regions in Spain. And I think one of the solutions might be through the narrative, because, sorry, I think we need to deconstruct the storytelling that links the rural areas with a lack of technology, with a lower cultural level, or with economic poverty, because I think this has a direct impact, especially on teenagers that see the fact of remaining on rural areas as a synonym of professional or academic failure. So we cannot show all the time the same image of a depopulated and aging rural area, because this remains in our imaginary, and it's really complicated to change. And so, yes, I think one of the solutions is the narrative, of course, all along with other measures, to reduce this obliged brain drain, because as you said before, it's something positive, especially for young people, to move abroad and to learn new experiences. But when you are not forced to do it because of a lack of opportunities, because of a lack of infrastructure, or because you think it will be a social failure. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Irene, and thank you to the four of you. So now, Commissioner, what do you think and how do you feel about all these stories?
Well, I keep thinking that we are very grateful for your stories, because in fact they show the diversity of situations. I think what Irene just said is interesting in the sense that you also attribute a lot of importance to the communication aspect, to the image that you give of the city or of the place or of the region. So, I mean, but nevertheless, now that you are working in Madrid, you talk about Extremadura with the people from Madrid, and you try to show them that there are very important things in Extremadura, I guess, because in fact there is. One aspect that I find important is in fact, what are the ingredients that can keep you going, and what are the ingredients that can make you move into one of those regions where young people and young capacities are needed. So I understood that if you had to recommend policy aspects, I'm trying to listen to you, I'm trying to learn lessons. You also mentioned the attitude in relation to young people. It was you coming from Padua, and Padua is a developed center. I mean, it's a dynamic. You just mentioned university. So we often associate the presence of universities or technological institutes as one important aspect to keep the dynamic in a region. And from your testimonies, we understood that having technical capacity and having the know-how and has played a role. But whereas you were mentioning this capacity, this education as a positive aspect from the Italian experience, or at least this personal case, we understand that this is probably not enough. That in fact you also have to create outside the connections that give you the connections between universities or polytechnics or technological centers and the chances to get a job. This is, I think, quite interesting, because it's not, I mean, the infrastructure is a necessary, not sufficient condition. Then you've got to put something more sophisticated or complex on top of the infrastructure, so that you really add value to the infrastructure. And this is, I think, one of the messages that you are conveying to us, which is quite interesting. The other aspect is how you can turn your experience into a value added. And I think someone that really has studied and has moved abroad, and you see this from all the Erasmus students. In fact, you learn by moving. That doesn't mean that you have to be moving all your life. It may mean that at a certain point you think you have got enough assets to go back and to help. And who knows if Irene is going back to Extremadura later on to start a business there. Let's imagine that you want to create a company to exploit the touristic potential or the architecture and historical potential of Cáceres or of another city. Or that you go back to Padua and you really cover this mismatch by starting a company that can use these advantages. Are there any elements from your experience? And you mentioned about the work that you do with families or kids that really suffered from the same experience, that had to leave and helping to integrate. Sometimes we forget that in Europe, in 2050, it's not so far away. The estimates is that we'll have less 35 million people in working age. So a lot of people will be moving. A lot of people will be coming to Europe. A lot of people will be trying to get a job in Europe. So here we are talking about internal movements inside Europe, but lots of people will be coming because we need the jobs. And we need the jobs also because Europe is getting older. Those that would like to raise a family, we need also to create these conditions. And again, it is the attitude of everybody in relation to young people. What are the conditions that you'd require if your option is to have a family or not? But if yes, so if we can move against this trend of aging and losing the young people, what would be the conditions for that? Because often we see that people that are in the big centers, they feel that it is much worse to have a family, to raise a family in those areas, than if you are in a more not so developed by standards, but at the same time where you have the family ties, where you have security, where you don't have to have all these costs that you were mentioning about having to move to another country or wanting to move. So this is really a very complex, problematic, but I really think we are touching upon a lot of elements that are extreme importance, because we often talk about money and infrastructures, and it is much more than that you are pointing at. So could you develop a bit more this kind of, what are the elements, what are the issues, how do you feel that you have grown in both places, either staying or leaving? How have you grown? How can you contribute? What you need to contribute more to the overall development of Europe? So I think this is something on which I would love to know more about your experience.
So, young citizens, who would like to take the floor and reply to this question? It's really about your personal experience, so there is not wrong or right answer. Don't be shy.
The ones who stayed, maybe? What drives you?
Okay, from Romania, what do you need in order that really you feel that you lost nothing by staying there, that you can contribute, that you can be a development agent in Romania?
So I think that there are many push and pull factors that contribute to the decision to stay in Romania, because as I mentioned, we have lower wages, and this is kind of pushing young people away to better developed countries. Also, sometimes the skills and knowledge is not recognized enough in our country. I can add also the resources which are made available in economically developed nations. But being a youth advocate, I think I can advocate for change, and I'm trying to do that at the Youth Council and also at the European Youth Forum.
So one important thing is that you keep an international network even if you manage to stay. And the other aspect that you are, that you decided to stay, but the other aspect that is implicit in it's the wages and probably the career. That was what Anna also mentioned, and other colleagues mentioned, that in fact, I mean, it's difficult sometimes to progress if you really don't move. But I mean, can you imagine, I know that the wages are lower, the living costs are lower as well. I mean, it's not, so nevertheless, you think it's the promotion of your career, or it's exactly the level of the wages that you were referring to? It's conditions for progress, or exactly the cost of living compared with the salaries?
I think both of the things are relevant in this discussion, but I suppose that the living conditions should be tailored by the wages that young people or even all citizens receive.
Okay. And what is the opinion coming from Croatia? Croatia is growing very fast. Croatia is one of the stars of European integration, and cohesion helped a lot, I think. But in fact, joining the currency, Schengen, everything. So
we
it's
have
really
a problem with exchange from kuna to euros, because expenses, costs are not really like before. For example, we have similar prices like in Belgium, like in Brussels for coffee or for tea, and the salaries are much lower. So we have a nice connection. We have 1 hour to Austria, half an hour to Slovenia, but we need some push-ups to grow, and maybe if we want to start the family, maybe we can have some extras, or maybe lower credit scores to maintain living in the region.
And what about Greece? What can you tell us? Because I think Greece has such a strong potential in rebalancing a bit this hyper concentration in Athens or around Athens, and stimulating some growth poles across Greece. What is your opinion?
That could be a very unique solution, because Athens gathers 50% of Greece's population right now. And to all of them to be...
And this creates a lot of congestion costs.
Exactly.
So it's really, then you have emptiness, and you have fires, and you have floods, and you have...
Exactly.
We are exposed. Disasters.
We are exposed to climate extremes, and that's another part. It's the safety. How safe am I in my country? This is due to the climate extremes, of course, but we were warned about that 30 years ago from the 80s or from the 90s. I think that can be changed with the money exists. It's here. Now we need the people to care about and to have love for the region and stay there, but there need a stimuli to stay in their own regions and help and contribute to the increase of the safety and the quality of the life. Because at the end of the day, it's the quality of life that is missing to regions like Peloponnese or Extremadura, for example, to attract young people.
But do you think, what is your dream for the future later on? or any of you, are you planning to start a business? Are you planning to do something, by yourselves? I understand that you from Azores, you were saying that you wanted to create a network of researchers, probably, I don't know if you were referring to the outermost regions, all the outermost regions, which is, and there is now Interreg support exactly for that purpose. So probably you can start an initiative. There will be in the next meeting of the outermost regions will be in Canarias, which is not very far away. So why not preparing a proposal for that? To create this kind of network. But you have contacts already in the other outermost regions. But I would like to move away from from my question to you, because you are more on a scientific kind of approach. But what is your dreams? For the future, what would you like to do for the future? You have dreams. You can start a company. You can, establish a special NGO, or you want to create a school. In the case of the Croatian case, what are your dreams for the future?
Should we start from Croatia?
Start from you.
Okay.
To finish my PhD and to start family and continue to work at the school. We have a program that is called Green Nest. We are doing outdoor pedagogy, and we do experiments in biology and chemistry with a lot of explosions, and kids are really excited about it. So yeah, education, more research, and family.
So we have two scientists here on this side. Yeah, and you have such a potential in Croatia. The environment and the biodiversity and the parks that you have, it's absolutely amazing. So you have all the conditions for that. But this is valid also for Azores, because it's really, very, very special kind of environment. And what about the others?
I would love to put my knowledge to good use, and also the skills I developed, so maybe contribute to the development of my country by entering into diplomacy or anything related to international relations.
Okay. And you?
For me, it was the reason I did the master's after my civil engineering in urban management and development, because we see that climate change threatens us, creates obstacles, creates terrors. So I'm afraid that things that we have from granted right now will not be in 30 years or 50 years from now. So I studied as an urban developer in order to help my country or the European Union in general to create more sustainable cities and more reluctant to and less exposed to climate
more
extremes.
Resilient.
More resilient.
Yeah, and so the closest, municipality to where you live is which one? I didn't understand.
The municipality of Kalamata. It's the town of Kalamata.
So you already presented your ideas, and your information is used by the authorities, or?
I just finished my master's this August, so not yet. And
not
right
yet,
now we have elections.
Not yet, but we'll be there, huh?
I really hope so.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well,
Claudio. What about your dreams, Claudio?
Well, I really like doing research, to teach, and really to get the spark on people, on the younger generations, so to pursue these kind of areas. And I think I can also contribute, and that's my intention, for other interdisciplinary aspects. Although I'm a researcher on fundamental physics, we can say in this way, but I really enjoy also applying this kind of knowledge to climate change, or even some health things, such as cancer, the way we look into cancer from the kind of theoretical physics and mathematics point of view, okay? It's different. It's it can have a complementary impact on these kind of areas which are fundamental to advance the general knowledge and the well-being of all of us. So that's...
Commissioner Ferreira, you might be wondering about our citizens who left. Yeah. What about your dreams?
For me, it's I think for now I would like to stay where I am, actually in Sweden, because that's the place where I settled for now. And but I think I want to connect those two, so Sweden and Germany, and find a way to connect also the work I'm doing. So I'm working a lot with the Baltic Sea region and connect it closer, for example, to the Danube region, and doing some work in this regard.
Julia.
So I think I also would like to say where I live now, which is not in the region where I'm from. But as I said before, I think the European Arctic is not communicated for what it really is. And I think doing that also needs to be done also from not the region itself, but also abroad or from other regions in order to actually get people to go there in the first place. So I think that's what I want to do right now.
And your dreams, Tommaso?
So for, let's say, next steps for the time being, so I'm settled in Paris, job is in London, but we collaborate, let's say, currently with the Commission, with the EIB. We work with a lot of multilaterals, so the work is not necessarily based on a single city, so that's what's happening, especially mostly after COVID, right? We can do a lot of our jobs from anywhere, and that's what matters, that people can work with all kinds of geographies and clients from sort of like any location in a lot of situations. But I think this is still limited to very few intellectual workers to a certain extent, right? Whereas for those that are strongly attached to working in person and going to work on a daily basis, so they're strongly entrenched in their territory, I would like to see the difference I was mentioning, right? So seeing that young people are better appreciated and put forward in their value and what they're bringing. It's true that young people should find their way, should show that they're worth it. It's not. I'm not expecting to be handed down anything at all. But what I see in other countries is really that once somebody comes out from good universities, can show that they can bring something to the table, they can be given responsibilities quite quickly, and they can be given long-term contracts quite easily. Whereas, some other countries don't do that as effectively. So what I can do, and that's what you mentioned, potentially in the future, don't know yet about this, but potentially in the future, going back and facilitating this relationship from universities to the productive ecosystem, that's for sure. It passes through changing completely the current generation of entrepreneurs that I think it's entrenched in an old approach to doing business. Right now I see, and it gives me a lot of hope to see a lot of my peers, of people our generation that have at least studied abroad at some level. All of us speak English fairly well. All of us have sort of like this international opening, and the more we exchange, learn from one another, the easier it is to go back and apply the best practices. So that's what makes me hopeful.
Irene, what about your wishes for the future?
My wishes, my dreams. I think for the moment I will stay in Madrid because, as I said before, I had there my social circle and I like my job. But potentially, yes, I think someday I may come back to Extremadura. My family is there, so it's something that also attracts to come back. And because I know that also Extremadura has a lot of possibilities. If in the case of a future family, for example, I would like to have a great academic offer and professional offer adapted to what young people want and also to the territory. And I know it has potential, like to set up business through European funds, for example, the local action groups. Me, I'm working in the Spanish network for rural development, so I already know them. And as I said before, it's like I have the feeling I'm already working for and with Extremadura and the rest of the rural areas. So maybe I finally set up a business in the future, potentially. I don't think so, but.
Anna, we've heard about lots of issues, solutions, and wishes, right?
Yeah, sure. And also maybe let's think about our future, Dino, both me and you. So we started saying, should I stay or should I go? What about you?
For now, I think I'm going to stay in Slovenia, but you can always reach me at +38640, and I'll tell you the rest later.
Good.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.
Thank you. So thank you very much, all of you, the citizens, our commissioner here with us. It's been a pleasure, as always. And now I would like to invite you to our reception tonight in the Agora. So see you in a moment.
May I just say one thing?
Please.
I'll just... no, it's not working. It's not working. Okay, never mind.
Microphone, maybe?
Okay.
Yeah.
I would just like to tell you that, we need you, okay? You young people, don't shy away, don't ignore the policy developments. Please engage, because Europe and the world needs you. You have a lot of energy, as we just saw. Thank you very much for being here, and please engage, okay?
Thank you.
Together we are stronger.
Bravo. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Ferreira.